The news is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Cyril B. Ramney Tertola Pier Park, NV Salon, Nail Spa and Barbershop, Tisley Cross Deliciously Smooth Cider, and Digicel, simply more speed, reliability and entertainment.
Plug into Digicel Plus and get even more entertainment with Disney Plus included. The best of Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and National Geographic all in one place. Whenever you want, plug into Plus to enjoy Disney Plus and much more with a home fiber bundle. Sign up today. Digicel Plus.
Non-profit organizations are the nucleus of the Virgin Islands that brings relief and support for people of the territory, supplementing and or filling voids of government's purse. Minister for Health and Social Development, Honorable Marlon A. Penn, on September 20, 2022, sought to have the effectiveness of the NPO Act of 2012 further enhanced by aligning its provisions with international regulatory standards for the non-profit sector as they have evolved over the past decades.
Our members would be aware that the Financial Action Task Force, or FATF, is the body that sets international standards on global money laundering and terrorist financing. The FATF recognizes that not all NPOs are exposed to the same risks of abuse from terrorist entities and recommends that a risk-based approach should be considered in domestic laws that are designed to protect these organizations. Concerns have also been expressed that certain language in our legislation lead to over-regulation and inappropriate restrictions on NPOs, which may have hampered their legitimate and essential work. Madam Speaker, this bill essentially seeks to ensure that our laws still adequately protect NPOs from misuse for the finances of terrorism, while at the same time respecting their legitimate activities. It essentially seeks to ease administrative challenges relating to the registration and renewal requirements of NPOs, as well as their monitoring and supervision, and ensure that overall the legislation is not unduly onerous on the nonprofit sector.
In supporting this proposed amendment, legislators note some key areas of concern, especially with international eyes watching. Honorable Vincent O. Wheatley.
Madam Speaker, let me read a little excerpt for you, please, with your permission, from a paper called Civil Society News. It's an old article, but it speaks to the point of why we're here. And the headline says, "Charities used in money laundering scams, investigation finds." And the very second paragraph, which I found very interesting, it says, "An investigation by the Sunday Times and the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists have revealed that a number of the UK's best-known charities, such as the British Red Cross, Cancer Research UK, and the NSPCC, and the National Trust, have been named as the beneficiaries of trusts in the British Virgin Islands and the Cook Islands." It's from 2013. But it shows you the concerns persons have that charities continue to be used for nefarious reasons, for illegal purposes. And we are named in there. But it goes on to say the charities didn't even know about it. They get so sophisticated, things are done these days. Even the charities weren't aware that they were being used for money laundering purposes. So we have to always be on our guard, Madam Speaker, to make sure we remain compliant, that we are not being used, to make sure that BVI remains competitive in the offshore sector.
On the other hand, Honorable Carvin Malone fingered other factors.
I would not have been able to not say something about it anyway, because being a member, in fact, I think we have 7 or 8 members of this Honorable House who are in service organizations. And in doing so, then on a yearly basis, you have to make sure now that each of the organizations come into compliance with the authorities. Madam Speaker, the days when service was easy are long gone. If you want to serve these days, you have international laws by which to comply with. So you can't just go and offer your service now for free at all. So, and I think that while we are seeking to bring the legislations into conformity with international conventions, this act seeks to lessen the burden that small NPOs experience in conforming with legislations. For instance, there are a number of churches that have a number of branches, and they're trying to seek ways in which they can, as opposed to having 10 and 15 different licenses, they're seeking ways in which they can get it all under one umbrella. So I can't say that it is answered here, but I will ask the question whether or not it is answered. Because we must make it easier to worship, not more difficult. We must make it easier to serve, not more difficult. And we must find ways in which, at the same time, we stay in conformity with not only the local legislations, but with international conventions. And I think that this is where we are going.
Honorable Penn expressed the value of NPOs and says they are not to be frustrated.
We also had comments from the territorial member, a large member, Honorable Carabin Malone, about the churches, as I just mentioned, the issue of the cumbersome nature of the registration process, particularly where you have subdivisions under each entity. The Act seeks to regularize that process, to simplify that process. I think we'll have a more detailed discussion in the committee stages in terms of how we can simplify that process. Because the intent is not to frustrate the good work that these entities do. The Lions Clubs, the Rotary Clubs of the Virgin Islands, the smaller entities. There are even smaller entities in this territory who, from time to time, put on different drives for community service projects, back-to-school drives, and those, I think there's some exemptions, and I think we're going to discuss the thresholds that requires a level of exemption from those type of organizations for registration. But the intent is not to frustrate the good work that persons do. The real intent is to curb or to protect against terrorist financing and money laundering through these entities.
The principal legislation, the Non-Profit Organization Act of 2012, provided for registration, supervision, and monitoring of non-profit organizations, NPO, operating in the Virgin Islands. Its fundamental purposes was to create a modern regulatory framework to ensure that NPOs are vetted, certified, and supported in providing vital services to communities while protecting the non-profit sector from potential exposure and abuse by terrorists or terrorism networks. Now, since the implementation of the Act, 358 non-profit organizations have been registered, with 69 being current and present, said Honorable Penn. With this JTV News Update, Kathy Richards.
We know that where you choose to bank matters, and it is your vote on what your funds do in strengthening our community. As your official Bank of Paradise, we invest and support the lifeblood of our economy by helping in the realization of personal goals for homeownership, education, and entrepreneurial visions, which support small businesses. We make it our place to connect with persons and worthy causes, and we have been doing so for more than 30 years. Where your money goes and what your dollars empower are your choice. And we thank you for choosing us, a bank that gives where it matters the most, for you, for our community, and a happier tomorrow. the National Bank of the Virgin Islands.
Freeze. Choose your mix, choose your flavor.
Hey, you. Put on some muscle?
I did?
No.
Rapid growth and reliance on digital systems has opened new vulnerabilities, and additional layers of cybersecurity are required to combat sophisticated cyber attacks. Simply Secure's security management solution helps overcome these challenges. Our service includes 24/7 protection for network devices, computers and servers with automatic restoration, security audits, and penetration testing. Don't wait for disaster to strike. Contact us today